You ain't never seen no black people on a book cover like that. This is a love story, but fuck romance, and it's never gonna happen. I like when they have communication in the book and it's not no drama. I eat it up. I will eat it up. The disclaimer is spoiler alert, okay? I'm going to be talking about the book through and through. Go read it yourself and then come back, okay? But if you don't care about spoilers, let's get into it. It's your girl, Caly, Michigan. Welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be my first book review. I made me some notes. I want to give you a quality book review. I'm using my baby tablet. Do not judge me. I don't have the book anymore. I returned the book already. So I don't have a copy of the description on the back of the book. So what I'm going to do is I found it and I'm going to read it to you. The book title is Rebel. The author is Beverly Jenkins. It's a historical romance. And I think it says the date released is 2019. And it's the Women Who Dare series. Okay? Okay. Let's give you a little bit of backstory on me as far as like what my head was going through in here. I wanted to start reading again, of course, but I don't know. I was in my mode of my writer's block at the time, and this was a couple months ago around New Year's. I was in my mode of writer's block at the time, and I wanted to get back into writing again. And I write urban fiction, I write urban romance, and I'm working on a book, but I wasn't in the mood of, I wasn't inspired, And so I was like, well, how about I just start reading again? And that's what I did. What I did was, you know how the universe be speaking to you? Yeah, I was scrolling one day on my Facebook, and it was a post about like free books, and it was like a sale going on where you can get free urban books. It was an urban book website, and I just went on there. I downloaded a whole bunch of books for free and downloaded it into my Kindle. And so like I'm thinking like, oh, I just I gotta steal for real, because like, mind you, I have like 400 fucking ebooks on my Kindle because of that whole little situation. Listen, the journey I went on, okay? Now, I love me some urban fiction, but there are some urban authors or some urban books, because I'm not going to say all of their work is horrible, but some urban books I just can't get jiggy with. I'm still going to try out the other books that I have on there, but for right now, I'm taking a break. I was disappointed from those, and so I decided that I'm going to go on a trip, and I'm going to go to my local library, because the library will have the best, urban books, and maybe Barnes and Nobles too, but the library is like your first thought is free books. You check them out, you try them out. It just was smart. Go to your local library if you need to get into reading your books or whatever, okay? Until you figure out an author that you actually really like. Anybody can put a book out there, and the book can be ass, and now you just wasted your time reading this book. You get what I'm saying? At least at the library, they were traditionally published most of the time. And, what's the word? Some editors done read it over. It just is a better quality. And I don't want to say that, because there are some self-published authors who are, good authors. But it just was given that they just let anybody make some shit. Okay? And even though, yeah, that's just what it was given. I decided to go to the library because it was a higher chance of me finding an urban book that I will like, and it will feel like an author who, actually thought about this damn book that they was writing. And so I was looking for urban romance, but then I came across this book, and I'm sorry that was a very long, before getting into this, but y'all, listen. I done lost my train of thought. I done lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So I was looking for a urban book that was going to give me the romance feel that I've been looking for. You know, something real warm, something real loving, something relationship that I'm rooting for. You know, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that warmth. Yeah, that love, that real love, the love that's meant to be celebrated amongst black people. Like I was looking for some real black love, you know, no toxicity, none of that. That's what I was looking for. And so I was looking amongst the books and I couldn't really, you know, I wasn't really finding stuff. And also, I don't really know authors like that now that I'm an adult. I'm not reading Blue for High series. And then it was this one series I was reading when I was younger. And I can't even remember, you know, the author. I can't even remember the name of the books. Like, yeah, so it was just new. I found a paper that had a list of the black authors that they have in the library. And then you can also rent out, you know, tell them, you know, order books out for, the, you know, you to read them. So, I don't know. I came across that book, Rebel. It was sitting up on like the display shelf. So it wasn't like, you know, I looked in through the line or whatever. I already had like 3 books in my hand that I did find from the shelves that were stacked up. But that one was like a display one that was showing, you know, urban fiction. I think it's the urban fiction or romance. I think that was the romance. I don't think that's that urban fiction. Because it looked like a, if you look at this, I'm put it on the screen. If you look at the cover, it looks like a traditional, you know, romance novel. I said, you ain't never seen no black people on a novel like that, on a book cover like that. You ain't never seen no black people on a book cover like that. So I seen that and I said, what? I want that book. I want that book. Let me read this, you know, this back cover, see what it's talking about, you know, because it was given real, you know, real romance. It was given, but you know, black people, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it just screamed romance. So I picked it up and I read it. And let me read this to you, because that's what I pulled up. Let me read it to you. Now, I can't tell you if this is actually what it said on the back cover, but it's going to explain pretty much, you know, what the book was about, or, you know, summarize it. So it says, Rebel 2019 is the first novel in Beverly Jenkins' Women Who Dare series. Set in post-Civil War New Orleans, Civil War New Orleans, it follows Valinda Lacey, a northern school teacher dedicated to educating newly freed black men and women. Her mission is met with resistance from local supremacists who destroy her school and threaten her life. In a moment of peril, Valinda is rescued by Captain Drake Levesque, a Civil War veteran and architect from a prominent New Orleans family. Drake is captivated by Valinda's courage and determined. As their relationship deepens, Valinda faces pressure from her father to return home and marry a man she doesn't love, leading her to make bold choices that challenge societal expectations. I read that and I was like, I don't know, historical romance? I don't know if I can get into that. You know, I didn't even know those things. I didn't even know historical romance existed. But I was like, I don't know. Because, you know, historically, if we're talking about history and we're talking about black people, it has something to do with slavery. And I can't get jiggy with that. But, you know, it changed my mind. So, I actually really like that book. And I might read the other books in the series. And I didn't even know this is the first book in that series. And I didn't know that. I just learned that from reading that. So, I'm going to be picking up the other books in the series. Because I really liked it. And I liked the family. And it just, okay. What really made me read this book, though, was the cover. Okay? The book is set in the 1919, it ain't set in 19 nothing. The book is set in 1870s. So, basically in the book, what happens is Valinda, who is that school teacher, she teaching the the former slaves how to read and write. She doing her job, right? And I was like, I can, this is given, she's not a feminist, but she's given like she's a rebel. That's why the book is called Rebel. She is given like she is woman empowerment. She is black excellence. She is black excellence. She is what's the word? Black girl magic. That's what she is. She is given like she is the strong black woman, not in the stigma of strong black woman, but she's a strong black woman as in she is really doing her job and she's giving back to the community in the only way that she knows how. But it's also in, the conservative era and back when women really didn't have no rights or nothing like that. And then also, racism, So, look, I'm about to start talking about this book like it actually really happened. So, at the time, she was in New Orleans, but she's from, like, New York or something like that. She's from up north. And she came there to teach during the summer while her man is, what do they call him? They call him, her attending. Yeah. Her attending is out overseas with his partner for their newspaper company. And when he get back, I guess she's supposed to go home. So, in between the time, right, while this is happening, she's supposed to be teaching in New Orleans. But what happens is somebody comes and they burn down her, her classroom. Some haters. They fucked up her classroom. And then so she ran out for whatever reason. And just know she almost got assaulted. In the midst of her, them attempting to assault her, her running away and shit like that, she runs into the male love interest. And that's Drake Levesque. He comes rolling up on I don't even know, I think it's a wagon with a horse and shit. Back in the days. What they be doing back in the days. So, he come rolling up because he was we gonna stop right there. So she's running away. Some people trying to attack her. I think it's a white man and a black man trying to come attack her, laughing and shit about her because they're upset because she's teaching black people how to read and write. So they're, obviously they're whatever. So she's running away. They trying to, get her goodies or whatever. And we gonna leave that right there. So now Drake Levesque, because every chapter it goes back and forth between each between Valinda and Drake Levesque. So in his chapter it was talking about him and how he's a war veteran and how he he's locked in basically with the government there, because it made it seem like I think the soldiers and shit were basically like the police back then, which is crazy work. And so he's really into the community, like giving people government assistance, finding making sure the black people, former slaves, is finding work. And he's in the Republican Party, like what do they call them? Like they be having meetings and stuff like that, or conferences or whatever. And yeah, so he's into that, and his family is very wealthy. Like they got money, like they do that. So he's going to get his sister-in-law. He's picking up his sister-in-law from the docks or some shit like that. Like I feel like she's getting off a boat or something. And his sister-in-law, she like this. She's a real ass bitch. She's out here doing it. She's like when I told you like they be helping the what you call it, the former slaves get their assistance, basically like getting people government assistance. She's one of them people who's in the field doing that. He's not in the field doing that, but he's a soldier, so like he be out here, strong, stiff arming people. But she be actually, doing the paperwork, getting people names, writing people names down, this and that, all that. And she, she got that thing on her, just like he got that thing on him. They be out here. And so he picked her up, and while they're going back to the house or houses, like their commune or whatever, because he has multiple brothers or whatever, and their mom, they have their house. The mom has her house, and then him and his brothers have houses along the way to the mom's house. But the big house is, the mama house. Anyway, I think his house ain't even built yet, I don't think. I think his house is getting built. Like, he's building his own house. It's, okay, we're not going to get into that. But, y'all trying to get me into it. So, yeah. They're going back to the house. Now, they come across Valinda running. They handled them niggas. I mean, when I say handle, y'all got to read it for me, some stuff I'm going to just leave out because y'all got to read it so y'all can, see it. He handled them niggas, okay? And he said, if I see you again, it's up. That's what he said. But if I see you again, it's up. Don't play with me. And I'm not going to play about her. I don't know her, but I'm not going to play about her. And he drove her home. Yep. And he said, if you need me, let me know, right? So I guess while she was there, I she's not at home. She does not live there for real. She's with like a host family, And so like she's paying these two white, they're not white, they're Creole, Cajun. I forgot what they are, but they're like French people, but not. Like, they're not the white people, but they're white people, but they're not white people. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they don't like black people, but they get treated, like they're dirt by white people. You know what I'm saying? So, them people, she was living with two sisters, in a small little apartment or whatever. One sister was, and the other sister didn't like her at all. Well, I guess and they've been, pressing her about, money for rent. They've been pressing her about rent or whatever. And she like, well, I gotta, wait, or whatever. And I guess they was pressing her about money. She didn't have the money. They knew she didn't have the money, and I guess they was pressing her about that before she found out, all the stuff that happened that day. So when she got back this day, after all that shit happened and Drake Levesque dropped her off, she found out that the sister that semi-liked her passed away. So the sister that didn't really like her said, bitch, you gotta get up out of here. You gotta go. And so she leave crying. She go to Drake Levesque. I guess they had like they own a restaurant or something by. And she goes into the restaurant and she called for him or something like that. They was really trying to be like, bitch, you don't get up out of here. Like, who the fuck is you? But I think she was talking to the waiter or the host, and she kept pressing him like, nigga, if you don't go get Drake, like right now, go get him. And Drake came back, like, what's up? And so she meets his family. His mama like her right off bat. The brothers over there, trying to be funny and shit like that. The sister-in-law really likes her too. And I guess she vouching for her with the mom. And, you know, it seems like it gives the feel like they're really loving, they really open, but she's also learning how these people is. She can't believe it. Like, she can't believe that it's women out here like this, and she don't see women like that. Her representation of women back at home, especially, is like you know, you just obey your man and you do what the fuck he tell you to do, and you know this and that. And her dad is real like that too. Like, her dad is real like, you're gonna do a woman's job, and that's all there is to it. Like, what the fuck? He already mad that she know how to read and write. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But she did have a positive role model, and that was her grandmother. And her grandmother taught her to be like this rebel type of spirit. She gave her that rebel spirit because her grandmother, I forgot what her grandmother was, but her grandmother really instilled that in her, even though her parents were, you know, different. Her dad wasn't going for that shit, and her mama just listened to whatever her dad said. And yeah. So she's in this world now where it's like okay to be herself, kind of. And she sees the mom and she sees the sister-in-law, and she's like, wow, you know, like, it's really girls out here like this. Really girls like me out here like this. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, she's just in awe. And the mom, she offers her to stay with her until she's able to either find her own place and you know, do her thing. And she can stay there for basically however long she wants to. And, you know, she's grateful of that. And I'm sitting here like, man, she got it made in the shade. That was crazy. But it didn't happen. In the book, it didn't happen too quick. It didn't happen too quick. I was so happy for this. Because chapters just going by. And I was like, I love this. I love this because it wasn't, like, forced. The books I was reading on Kindle, they was doing too much for me. You know what? It was a book I read, and it was supposed to be like an erotica. That book was better than the books that wasn't erotica. Ain't that crazy? Yeah, so the erotica actually gave me more of a, like, you can tell the chemistry, the romance in that book versus the other urban romances. But yeah, this book right here, I love the pacing in this book. Rebel has some real good pacing. And so, yeah. Yeah, she ended up with the family. That was like her into the family, and that basically is what starts her getting to know Drake getting to know her, you know, them finding ways to be around each other, things happening for them to end up around each other, and then also like external things like that happens in their life that she gets to see that shows his character as a person, you know. And yeah, I just really, really liked it. It just was really dope. It was really dope. It wasn't like forced sexuality, even though it was like sex scenes in there and they were real, you know. He was real, you know, sexual in a way. And but I think she was a virgin. She was in her 30s, and I think she was a virgin, bro. And then they normalized, like, it's okay. Okay, that book was different. Y'all really need to read that book because yeah, that was different. At the end you find out that her attending was actually a gay man, and his partner for the newspaper business was actually his partner, and she knew that, and that's the reason why, you know, they got together, because she basically wanted to protect him. Girl, why her daddy... Listen. Read the book. I'm not going to say no more. But I love the pacing. They didn't rush it or nothing like that. It wasn't too much. I really liked how they spoke to each other. I liked how it wasn't like forced. You know? It wasn't like every time they did something, it wasn't like every time the other person did something, they were just in awe. No. It wasn't like every time, yeah, it was some real shit, like real life shit happening as well. At the end, what I did like though, at the end, I really liked the fact that Drake, he basically protected her the way he was supposed to. What he protected her without having to do too much. But he did put his foot down, like and it wasn't like, oh, she's my woman now type of stuff. It was given like, you're disrespecting your daughter in my house. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy work. And then you want her to marry this old ass pastor, man. Like, that's wild, bro. Talking about you about to leave with me. I'm not going nowhere. How about that? Okay? Listen. Okay. What I liked about the book was, I liked the pacing. I liked how she wasn't, even though she was inexperienced as far as like the love, bracket and stuff like that, she wasn't given pick me, and she also wasn't given like, I'm this invincible and untouchable and, woman, like how they try to make black women look. In the stories, they try to make black women look like, oh, I don't need no man, even though we don't, even though I don't even know how to explain it, because I'm not saying like, oh, you should need a man. No, I'm saying that she wasn't given like, I'm a lesbian. You get what I'm saying? She wasn't given like, I'm not interested in men at all. She wasn't given like, I'm not interested in romance at all. She wasn't given like, this love story, but fuck romance, and it's never gonna happen type shit. So that when she actually, finally declares her love to the man at the end of the story, you don't even believe it, because bitch, this not even what you want. You can't convince me, and you ain't even been enjoying the times that you do have her. Okay? It wasn't given that. Okay? It just was real natural. It was real, like, you seen the little moments that built up the chemistry. I liked it. Yep. I liked it. And the sex scenes weren't too much. They didn't drag on too long. It did it right, y'all. I'm telling you, it did it right. Just read the book. It did it right. If you did already read the book, don't mind me. I'm just saying. I'm trying to let the people know in the back to go read the book. But I really like that about the book, that, the pacing and stuff. Also, I think there was another thing. I like the mama. Love her. I love how she was loving, but she was real. She was real. She was nice, but she was real. She was kind, but she was real. Like, she wasn't like, and she was straightforward, but she wasn't disrespectful. Okay? And then, who else? The sister. She was like a real friend, and she just met this lady. Do you hear me? Like, you need people like that in your circle. She taught this girl about, I think she taught her about, sex, kind of, like, or intimacy, like, because the girl was confused. She didn't know nothing about nothing. Like, this is her, this would have been her first time in her life where she actually felt something. She said in the book, she felt like you marry for, you don't marry for love type shit. And he was trying to tell her, like, my parents married for love, so I'm going to marry for love. And even though in the book he had him a side piece that he been dealing with, I think, for some years. He been, going over there, paying her some money, y'all, they do their thing, whatever. And I think he was going over to her. He wasn't. She she told him that she was moving, and I think she was going to live with somebody, like to, you know, be with somebody, or she was just leaving. And basically like they were gonna be done, like she was done, you know, dealing with him, whatever. And it was no hard, that's another thing, it wasn't even no hard feelings when he did that. Like that's what I'm trying to, that's what I'm trying to be on. Not that, but what I'm saying is I like when the communication is right. Like I like when they have communication in the book and it's not no drama. There was no drama. He handled that, she handled that. They had a little conversation, and they, you know, the love was still there. Like it wasn't even love, because it was love, but it wasn't like they, you know, they want to be together for, you know, with each other. They had like an arrangement. You know what I'm saying? Like he was her sugar daddy. You know, they hugged it out, and he left, and she, you know, she left. She went on about her life. And he was like, that's fine, because, you know, I'm not even sad, because I'm feeling, you know, Valinda. I want to be with Valinda. And I think he disclosed to Valinda that he deal with other women. I think he disclosed that, and she didn't even give a fuck. Oh, she didn't care because, you know, she was spoken for with her, you know, her best friend. I'm like, I'm liking this. There was no issue. There was no drama. And she was loyal to her attendant. You hear me? She was loyal to her best friend because she didn't want to touch Drake. And I think things did happen. Okay, so at first she didn't want to touch Drake, but then it happened. And yeah, it happened, and she was like, I'm gonna have to tell him, like, we can't get married because, you know, I think I'm, you know, falling in love with Drake type shit. When her attendant come or whatever, and they learn about, you know, who he is and stuff, that's when it like dawned on Drake, like, oh, you don't want my girl, so I can have her? Yeah, okay. But that shit funny. I just like that. I really like that book. I can't even tell you how long it took me to read it, but I was on that book heavy. I really like that book. I can't think of things. Let me see it. Some things I didn't like about the book was I didn't like how they went about certain things in the book, but I don't, you know, who likes racism? Who likes, you know, that point in time in life, or that time period, you know? So that would be the only things I didn't like. What else? I can't think of nothing I didn't like of that book. Or maybe I'm just not remembering. If you can refresh my memory in the comments, let me know about some things that were questionable for you in the book, and we can get on to that. If I say if there was anything I really didn't like, it probably could have been during the sex scenes. But I can't really remember them for real. I like the book. The book was good. I would say my favorite character in that book, it would have to be either the sister-in-law or the mom. I think sister-in-law. The sister-in-law, definitely. Yeah, definitely the sister-in-law, and that's the reason why I want to read the other books in the series, because I feel like one of the books is going to be about her and the brother, her and his, you know, Drake's brother. And they have like their family. She also, she has some kids in an orphanage. Like I think she runs an orphanage, and she allowed Valinda to teach her kids and stuff. And so that lady, I really liked her. My least favorite character in that book would probably be her dad, of course. Her dad was a piece of shit. Would I recommend this book to others? Of course. And I will recommend this book to anybody who likes romance in general. It doesn't have to just be urban romance. Would I read this book again? That's a good question. Because I don't really like rereading books. I'm gonna be totally honest with you right now. I don't reread books for real. But if I was to reread a book, that book would be one. Like, give it some years, or a year. Give it a year down the line, maybe a few months, but give it a year down the line. Oh, excuse me. Give it a year down the line, I will probably reread that book. I just have to forget the stuff that's happening in the book, and I think, I'm forgetting. There's some pieces I don't remember for sure, because I remember when I was reading the book, it was parts in there that I really wanted to discuss, and I can't remember those parts. So for sure, I will reread it. Give me a couple more months and I'll reread it. I will give this book a 4 star. 4 stars. Okay? I give this book 4 stars. And people might be thinking like, oh, that's y'all, you doing too much right now because it's kind of high. No, I'm giving it a 4 star because it's not no damn 3 star. 3 stars like, it was alright. It wasn't alright. I liked the book, but it wasn't. I won't say it's perfect yet. So, give me some time. Give me some time to read other books. And, if I find that perfect one, I might find that perfect one. If I never find that perfect one, this book will be a 5 star. For people who are authors and you're writers and things like that, and you like to write urban fiction or romance, you like to write romance, I would say pay attention to your pacing with them, with how they get together, from them meeting to their first kiss, from them meeting to them having sex. The thing is, build that chemistry. Even if they had sex the first time they meet, don't make it to where they're like in love after that, after intercourse. Like, who the fuck does that? Now, they might be soul ties, but they're not going to be in love. So just make it realistic. And even if it's not realistic, even if everything happens in a day, make it to where it feels like we went on that journey with them. Like, I want to feel those emotions and my emotions changing about this couple. Like, oh, they cute. And I didn't even know it's only been 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I want it. So, yeah, that's about it, y'all. If y'all have any book recommendations, send them my way and I will do a review on them. Right now, I'm reading a book called Only for a Week. Get into it. I forgot the author name, but I might pop it up here. Yeah. I bought it from Barnes & Noble, so it wasn't like an author I knew or anything. I was just looking for an urban book there because they don't have the urban shelf anymore, and that was the only cover I seen with Black people on it. So I grabbed it. And yeah, so y'all send me some book recommendations for me to read. So the type of books I'm looking for is urban books or Black stories, because not all Black authors say that their books are urban. So urban books are just Black love stories. Okay, that's what I like. I like urban fiction, urban romance, Black love. I also like self-help and self-care books, and self-improvement, but my thing is urban romance. I love it. I love it. I love it. And if it's the right type of pace and the right type of story, girl, I'll eat it up. I will eat it up. The next book report will be on Only for a Week, so tune in for that. And thank y'all for watching. I love y'all, and I will be back soon.